BVI, baby. British Virgin Islands, this one's for us. Put your hands up.
BVI, and BVI.
Hunt, sing BVI, wave them to the sky. Rock from side to side.
Good day and welcome to the Vigilate Dialogues. I am your host, Shayna Smith-Archer, welcoming you to the National Boardroom. If this is your first time tuning in, every week we speak with our guests about issues affecting our quality of life and the solutions to them. The Vigilate Dialogues is sponsored by Smith & Associates, your business planning and project management specialist. Call us for a free consultation at 340-1199. So out of my many hats, I am Shayna Taxpayer today on the program, and we have recently launched a series called Women of Impact, where we will be showcasing our lovely women here in the Virgin Islands who are making impact, recognizing their contributions, as well as inspiring other young women to do the same. With me today, I have my good friend, woman of impact, Cindy Rosan-Jones. Welcome, Cindy.
Shayna, thank you for having me on your show, Women of Impact. I love the series. And I think it's great that we highlight such women within our society. I feel privileged that you see me as a woman of impact. And so thank you for having me here.
Well, thanks for accepting, because, some of us are nervous when it comes to, TV, but you are no stranger.
I'm not, but sometimes I do get nervous.
To the camera. Well, you're going to tell us all about it today. So you are a business owner, community activist. I would also mention too that you are a TV show host, so you have your own show. Mm-hmm. So you are a mover and a shaker, making things happen. So of course you would make the list.
Thank you.
All right. So for those who may not know, just in case, tell us about yourself. Who is Cindy?
So I'm just simply Cindy. A lot of people now are focusing on what I consider, I guess, my brand, Cindy Rosan-Jones, or CRJ as they're calling me now. But I'm just simply Cindy. Yes, Rosan-Jones. I have 3 beautiful children, and I can say I've done a little bit. Whether here, abroad. I've done my studies in the UK. I studied marketing and PR. I've worked within marketing and events for a number of years. I can say probably 20 plus. I've worked for myself for most of my career.
Okay.
I've worked with other companies inside the Cayman Islands, internationally, and most recently, I've worked with the BVI Tourist Board as their events person.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So you've been very busy.
Yes, I have.
So in terms of training, in terms of school, I guess, what's your education? So it's just marketing you did?
Yes, my education is in marketing. Marketing and public relations.
Okay.
Yes.
So what inspired you for that career choice?
Well, it was interesting, and sometimes I bring it up with my past boss, because I worked within financial services for about 10 years, and I was bored.
Okay.
I was indeed bored, and often I moved I was more attracted to things of, like planning and events and, that type of stuff. And my boss said to me one day, I think you're in the wrong field, and I think that you should go off. And I was like, no, I don't want to. He's like, yes, because the BVI was so focused on financial services, everything was about that. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I think that's what you need to go and do. And so I did.
Okay.
And I think it worked in my best interest, because quite often we can't see further ahead, and so we're kind of stuck in, so like I said, financial services was it for everybody. And he encouraged me to go and study marketing. Other people were like, what are you going to do with that here? But
here it is.
It has worked for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome, and that's very interesting that you brought that up, because a lot of times too, again, we do things that are expected of us because that's kind of what the status quo is pointing us or directing us to.
Yes.
So we're gonna fall into it.
Yeah,
but then it's important to recognize when you do need to make that shift.
Yes.
And then be courageous enough to make that shift.
Yes. I think he would have almost fired me just so I could make that shift.
To make sure you made that shift.
Yes, because he thought you're just here, just go and do it.
Yes. Bored.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I wasn't into it.
But that's a very supportive boss, though.
He was. Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
Cornel Baptiste. Let me mention his name.
Yeah,
He
so
gets
we'll
shy,
recommend
but
it.
let me mention his
It was
name. Yes.
That was a good move. So that's good advice from your manager.
Yes.
So you've been doing that over the last, in terms of the marketing aspect of it.
So I've been doing, and the company is called Guava Berry Marketing, and I've been doing a bit of work with it. About 7 years before I moved back to the BVI. When I moved back with the BVI Tourist Board. And I did that because I wanted to transition home.
Okay.
And I believe that, so between my husband and I didn't want for both of us to move and be unemployed. But I love the idea of working for myself. It gives you self-independence. And like I said, I've done a lot of that. So because he hadn't locked down work, I transitioned into a more steady.
Okay.
But Guava Berry is probably pretty close to 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now that even before I left the board, I've done a bit of it, but I'm the type of person, I'm not going to sit on somebody else's job and do another job. So I wasn't really like pushing it.
Okay.
But as I've stepped back now, I'm fully engaged.
So you're fully employed there now. You're full-time here.
I'm fully engaged in Guava Berry marketing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I love the name. So
Thank
local.
you. Exactly. That was the whole thing for me. And I love Guava Berry.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to go with Guava Berry marketing.
Yeah, that's a catchy one. Because
Yes.
for those who know what it is, it piques your interest.
Yes.
And for those who don't know what it is, it still will pique their interest.
Correct.
Because you're like, so what's a guava berry?
Correct.
You know? So that is awesome. So what has been your highlights along your career journey?
My highlights along my journey. I built a few brands. Some that have lasted, some that have not lasted, some that have taught me, the importance of how to grow a business. So I think failures have been my highlight.
Okay. In terms of those lessons learned.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what have been the challenges then?
If you're talking about functioning, where are we functioning in terms of?
Okay, so let's pick what you're right. You have many hats. So career-wise, let's start with there. Then we'll get to the other stuff.
And what's the question? Career-wise?
Yeah.
what
So
are-
in terms of in terms of your career journey, we were talking about what were your highlights, and then what were some of the challenges if you faced them.
If we boil it down to, if I look now at the BVI and its business structure, I would say one of the difficult things for me right now is just getting set up and going. It's difficult to do business in the BVI, so that's one. Challenges could be some financial time in terms of getting to grow your business as a mother.
Yeah.
Because when I started out, when I got really into Guava Berry about 14 years ago, I had young children, so maneuvering with them was a big challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
That's about it for now.
Okay, and a lot of people
As
would
I can
also
think of
know
major
you.
challenges.
If they don't know you from the tourist board, they know you from being active in your community in terms of, I would say, an activist. And I think that probably prompted the show in terms of the talk show. So let's
Yes.
talk about how that came about.
Yeah, Shayna, I think I've been in tuned to politics from about maybe 19, 20 years old, maybe younger, because I remember coming out of the high school, and that's when the Legislative Assembly, it was all right.
right
It's still,
outside.
well, it's
Yeah,
still
right
there,
here.
but you come out and you hear everything going on once you wait for the bus. And I found myself attracted to politics at that time, especially due to, I don't know if I've ever said this, I might have said it on my Facebook page, but Mahaj, he was very, I don't know if you recall, but impassioned.
Yes.
I think even one time he broke the
mace.
Yes, he broke the mace, and that was a big thing. But I was inspired by those guys. I think they were very impassioned about the territory back in my day as a youngster. So I was attracted from that point. I've talked about my kind of stepping into the political scene a little bit more by joining the National Democratic Youth movement at that time, about 20 plus years ago. But in that time, I think after their first election, in that time, I moved away. And that's when I did my marketing. I also, transitioned into other things like, getting married, moving away from the island for a little while. I mean, I was back and forth. And so my crowd of people that know me, I think they never forgot me. And they knew where I stood on certain things. But I decided to move back home about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And in moving back, I think just a few months after that, we had the 2015 elections.
Yeah.
Which was a little eye-opener for me in terms of where I left the BVI and what I was experiencing during that election, because my sister, she ran in that election with the Virgin Islands Party. So I guess I was fully experiencing a two-party system. What I would say now that had kind of gone wrong.
Yeah, you saw both sides.
So so I see, I came back at a time where the parties had totally split the territory in two, and the nastiness could evolve. So during that election, I just thought, there's something weird at work here. And I just kept watching, and I thought, something is really wrong with the BVI and, things that I saw and experienced, and I just thought, I think I need to jump in here somewhere and start to make some kind of impact in what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I became a little more vocal. I became vocal. Before I wasn't, but.
Yeah. And because then you started, you mentioned about Facebook, so you basically were blogging on Facebook.
Yeah, I started out there. I figured that would have been the best place to start. So I started testing the waters to see how people were feeling, what the feedback would be, and it was promising. It was promising as a means to getting through to, or even starting to address and redirect conversation. Or even know that conversation was okay.
Well, to start the conversation. So
yes.
that was a big thing. Because they got to start.
Yes.
It has to start. So what prompted you to do the show?
So I'm going to call my friend's name. He'll be fine with that. Avrad, and I had another friend as well that they were like, you need to take the conversation off of social media. Like, this is your personal space. You need to make it wider. And I thought about that because I said on my show a couple of weeks when Kishma interviewed me, she asked me what was something that people would be surprised about me, and I said that I'm shy.
Yeah.
And she was like,
She stopped to see, like,
right?
Yeah.
But it's easy to sit behind your keyboard and you type out, but when you have to sit behind a camera and deal with an audience, you kind of get more tongue locked.
Yeah.
But he encouraged me, and my other friend, he likes to stay in the background.
Yeah.
They encouraged me to take it from my personal Facebook page and just take the message a little wider.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we developed Cut Deep.
Cut Deep. So where did that name come from now?
Cut Deep came about through discussions between myself and the same friend.
Okay.
Yeah. We played around with a few names, and he kind of came up with that one, and I was like, that could work.
Yeah,
I said, people might be like,
it's gonna pique
but
people's interest.
yes, and it did. I remember the first time I launched out 3 seasons ago, it went wild.
Yeah.
People were like, oh my God, it's coming. I want to see what this
Yeah.
is going to be like. But I know sometimes I get people saying, we don't feel that same passion when you're on the TV as
Versus
when
writing.
you're writing. But, there's some phrases and things that you can't say on TV. And again, I'll say that once I get behind the camera, I could be a little camera shy. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, if you've just tuned in for our radio audience, you are listening to the Vigilate Dialogues, and yes, you are hearing the voice of CRJ, Cindy Rosan-Jones. She's here as a woman of impact today, doing her thing in the community. And, it's one of those things where people don't understand the level of courage it takes to kind of run against the status quo. And I found myself last year coining a phrase, greatness can't fit into the status quo.
Yeah.
Because then it's not greatness.
Yeah.
You understand? So, I applaud in terms of you know, running what it is you are passionate about, and keep getting that focus on. So, you know, nobody can accuse you of not being passionate.
Yes.
But and overall, though, what motivates you in terms of what you've done so far, whether it's career-wise or even in terms of your activism in your community?
Career-wise, like I said, I was more motivated by my boss, by a past boss. And it is, I mean, he brought out something, he just showed me or encouraged me to do what I actually loved. And to study that and to figure out how to make money from that. So that's that. In terms of I can't stand injustice, unfairness. I have a problem with, you know, unethical behavior and lack of integrity and those types of things that I talk about all the time. So when those things show their heads, especially injustice, I just, you know, sometimes, Shayna, something comes up and I try my best. I'm like, Cindy, don't say anything. Don't say anything. You know, I'm turning, I'm twisting, I'm going to work, I'm going home. And then you start getting calls and before I know it, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
you have to say something.
And sometimes I beat myself up. But like you say, greatness can't
Conform to the status quo.
Yes, so, and I take a lot of licks. You know, anybody can see or tell. Maybe you can't tell, but I do take a lot of licks for standing up and using my voice. But I also think that I do have a lot of support.
Yeah.
And that actually keeps me going. I know that I have a lot of support. And I also do this not just for me alone, but especially for my children. And when I say my children, not just my physical children, but
that next
you know, all of the
generation.
youth, and all my nieces and nephews and my friends' children, just that next generation that I feel that we have not
done right by
been,
them.
yeah, we haven't been fair to them. We haven't done right. We've sat back and we've just, you know, raced behind that green dollar, or what we consider to be success.
Yeah.
Not realizing that our success is really their success, you know, because if we haven't trained them to come up and take our place, we failed, and I think we're failing. So,
Yeah. So, and something basically needs to be addressed.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And that's always key because, again, you know, sometimes people might, again, view you and think they understand you.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's fair. That's okay. I don't take it personal.
You don't take it personal?
No, I don't. If I took it personal, Shayna, let me put it this way. When I started this journey in terms of deciding if I was going to open my mouth in a very public way about what was going on in the BVI, trust me, well, I'm trained to know my audience.
Yes.
I'm trained to know my client. So I know, and I'm a Virgin Islander, I know who a Virgin Islander is. I understand my people very well. So I know there's going to be pushback. I know there's going to be people in my face that pretend to be on my side and they're not on my side, but I'm not here for that. My purpose isn't to be liked. My purpose is to convey a message. I don't know if I'm going to enter the political arena. That's not in my focus.
Yeah.
Would I want to put a team forward that I think, or help to put a team forward that I think could do right by the BVI and us? Yes, I'm happy to do that. But my focus isn't being liked. So if you don't like me, I'm just going to still say what I have to say tomorrow. I'm still going to move into action, even if I'm doing it for you.
Yeah.
You know, and I like to say something like, my mom didn't spank me because she hated me. She just wanted me to
do better.
You know, and I'm not a parent of the BVI. I'm not saying that. Like, I'm not a parent. I'm not saying. But, you know, I love the BVI.
Yeah.
I love our young people. I love Virgin Islanders. So, you know, that's my drive. So whether you like me or you look at me negatively or you think my mouth is big or she doesn't shut up or...
Too rude or whatever.
Yeah, so that stuff doesn't bother me. And sometimes you just have to know where that type of mindset comes from. And we've been trained from a very long time ago to just be quiet and know your place.
Very passive,
Yeah, that's not me.
So do you think it has anything, or I should say your gender has anything to do with that perception at all?
Of course.
Because we don't keep it real.
Yeah,
Let's keep it real.
of course it does. One of the things that I realized when I was made redundant at the tourist board, the male voice was the loudest in terms of saying whether I was out of place or too loud or I didn't respect, you know, the premier or whatever. So yeah, I know a lot of it has to do with gender. We know how it is. I could say the Caribbean, maybe the world, but for sure we know how it is here. Our systems are very patriarchal. Do I want to see us move away from that? I do. Everybody knows that I push a woman agenda. I'm not going to be shy about that because I feel like there are issues that, you know, male leadership will never look at. And the BVI is at that place where we have to take a look at our social issues to fix what we're going through. And male leadership just they can't be bothered with that. And it's not their fault. It's who they are. Men build
Their
things.
perspective is just different.
Yeah, they build things. They like physical. Women are nurturers, and we grow things.
And that's what I try to convey to somebody the other day when we talk about gender equity in the political arena. That, you know, a male's perspective on the same problem is different to a woman's perspective.
It is.
And looking at the same problem, because we're not going to approach it the same way because we have a different level of understanding.
Correct.
Which is why you have to have more women in the room making some of the decisions that are basically affecting everybody. You know?
Yeah, and sometimes you hear that thing where women support their husbands anyway. Men listen to their women, and so you're probably thinking some of the decisions that are made are encouraged by, but I don't think so. I feel like even in the home, men don't necessarily, like you said, we have a very strong patriarchal system here, and men don't take well to women giving guidance.
As far as taking their advice.
Yeah. So I don't think that our women are present in leadership here. You know, I don't. It's not there.
Yeah.
And we need to get there.
Yeah.
What I would like to see a full cabinet of women. And that's what I would like to see for the BVI.
You went straight left field.
I am, you know me, I'm 100% up and down. I don't know if I should call it left field because we have a full cabinet of men.
Which
forever.
is
We don't ever say anything or acknowledge.
That.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. So yes, for me, I would like to see a full cabinet of women, maybe by the next election.
And see the difference.
Yeah.
You know, and that, I hope people realize the point that you just made, because it's like we're so used to that thing being the norm. That's the status quo.
Yeah.
So we have accepted it.
Yep.
But if something changes with that, then we question that as it being something out of the norm.
Yeah.
Why can't that be the new norm?
Correct. And we're here to step outside the box, and I'm always ready to do that.
Yeah, we need to dismantle it at this juncture.
It has to be.
So build a new one.
Yeah, they call me radical, but it needs to be dragged down, pulled down. That's how I look at it. Cindy, would like to see a full cabinet of women making decisions for the BVI in the next 2 years. Yeah. If that's where.
You think the BVI is ready for that though?
Sometimes you're not ready for something.
Yeah.
But you just have to be pushed into it.
And you still need
and
it.
I know that there are some brilliant women that can get up and take on this cause. Some of them, they do have that man voice in their head saying, you're not ready.
Yeah.
Let us lead you. But I know they're ready.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping over the next 6 to 8 months that
we come forward.
They feel their calling and they get up and do what's right for this society.
And that's very key because, again, all of us have a role to play. You know, in talking with some of my other guests, we talked about the importance of professional respect. So whether it comes from across gender or even within our own gender, that we understand everybody has a role to play and their contribution, you know, in different areas. Because I am sure everybody has you tagged to be, saying that you're going to run for politics one of these days. So it's surprising when you say, you love to be the force behind of it, but not necessarily the one in that capacity, because again, you understand what your role is.
Yeah, I do, and I don't know. I didn't mean to disappoint anybody. And I don't know if that is what I am supposed to do. I will fall back. And I will do that.
Yeah.
I've had unending number of calls for a number of years. The pressure continues to grow.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though, because it's important. Again, there are activists, and then there are those that are going to actually be out there, fighting the fight. But it's almost as if you're running parallel tracks, eh?
Right.
Because you need to have the activists that are going to hold the politicians accountable and not take that voice away from within the community.
Right.
Because it's still needed for balance.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And that's my thing, and that's what I said. I would prefer to be that voice that kind of keeps us on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. Yeah, so somebody got to be the watchdog.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. So what would you tell a young woman who's thinking about pursuing similar goals? So whether it's a career in marketing or owning their own business or being a community activist or having their own show.
Yeah.
What's that?
What I would say that's the most important is always to find your truth and stand in it.
Okay.
Respectfully. Some people don't think that I'm respectful, but it depends on how you look at it. A strong voice or a strong position doesn't necessarily mean disrespect. And there sometimes I do get carried away.
Well, you get swept up in the passion of the moment.
Which I apologize for from time to time. But I would say find your truth and your purpose and stand in that. And when you can stand in that, you whatever your path is, whether it's your career or anything you want to do, I believe in genuine platforms. When your platform is not genuine, it could fall away. Yeah. So that would be my biggest.
Authenticity.
Yeah, that would be my biggest bit of advice to them. And do your thing. You're not indebted to anybody. I'll tell you, when the board released me, I had options. I turned down about 3 job offers, but I felt like I would always end up in the same position where
you'd be holding system.
Yes. We'll have to be like, oh, you can't say that because or there's outside pressure on the company too. So I thought it best to, although I know it'd be difficult in the beginning, to just get kicked out, because at the end of the day, I have all my bills. That I've walked away from a steady job. Those bills are still there. So I have to focus in and make sure that I can remain consistent with those. So I know it will be difficult, but at the end of the day, the path that I'm on required that I do my own thing. Yeah.
And not be afraid of it. So courage is definitely part of the advice.
Courage. And can I say that we're not talking political parties or anything, but Reform Action Alliance that a team of us came up with, that's our main thing. Courage, finding courage to, whether it's to stand or, stand out, tell the truth, whatever. Just that word courage, that is our go-to word.
It has to be a value, because I find where a lot of times people don't live their dream
because they're afraid.
They're afraid.
And Shana, can I tell you, every day I'm afraid. Every day I'm afraid. I'm afraid that this isn't going to work. I'm going to fail. There's so many people watching me. I know there are a lot of young people and other people and women watching to see how I come out of this. And so that is a huge additional pressure. But so I can say genuinely that I have a lot of fear as well, but I don't let it consume me. I get up every day, get dressed, make sure my children go to school, get their education, and I do what I have to do. I just keep going.
Keep moving and shaking.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the key things I would love for our young women, because even at single-digit ages, you listen to some of the conversations and you can hear where again, how, I guess, the norms, but some of the things that we think are normal, which,
Yes.
which really they're not.
Yeah.
You know, that they're afraid to think about saying, you know, I want to be a business owner, you know, at the age of 8. And it's like, yeah, let's encourage them.
Yeah, of course.
This is the direction you want to go
course.
into.
Of course.
These are the things that you need to start to look at and push them.
Of course, we have to, it's important and imperative that we, you know, feed their minds. And we listen to them and feed their minds with where they want to be and not where we think they should be. My daughter, she's 11 now, but she's been you know, a little hot spring from she's a firecracker for a little while. And I know that she focuses in on me. She makes me her absolute, what's the word?
The role model.
Her role model. And, you know, sometimes I listen to her and I'm inspired. Sometimes I don't say anything. I let her do her thing, but I encourage her mind to be independent, to be able to speak comfortably no matter what, and that's something that's very important for our boys too, but for our girls in particular, because that helps them in, you know, other sexual issues and stuff that they face when we're away from them. But you know, I try to feed her mind and train her mind to, you know, be her person, whoever that is. And, you know, sometimes she throws it back at me too, because sometimes she gets dressed and I'm looking at her and I'm like, so what are we wearing today? And she's like, this is me. This is who I am, and this is, and I'm like, all right, just do your thing. I just walk away because I've trained her to be. Yes, I just have to walk away. And so she does inspire me like that. And she also loves that money too. And she's never talking about working for anybody. She's always talking about working for herself and the businesses that she's going to form. And I'm like, you know, do your thing. Just hurry up, come up, let mommy hand all this over to you so I can go traveling and retire. So, yeah, we just have to feed their minds with, you know, the right things.
And keep them positive.
Keep them positive, but also real, because life has real challenges as well. So
and that's important, because if we're not grounding them in the reality of it, and I was, you know, in the question of what challenges you the most, I was talking with a guest, and I was like, you know, we've heard the word resilience so much over the last 4 years. It's crazy, but we need to understand you don't build resilience unless you go through challenges.
Correct.
It's not something I could take, you know, a tablet in the morning.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I become resilient. But
Absolutely.
you actually have to go through those challenges.
You have to.
Have to face the pressure, have to face the heat to be able to build that muscle up. And,
Absolutely.
you know, every little wind comes and you don't fall over because, you know, you're a lot stronger than before. So that is so important.
Absolutely.
So with all that you do and are active in, how do you balance your life?
Sometimes I wonder that myself, Shayna. And sometimes I think I have a glass of wine or two and that's good. That's my balancing. I'm just kidding. How do I balance? I think I don't think about it. I just think I look at it as I just have all these things to do, and I have to get certain things done in a day. And I just try my best to make it happen. Whether it's fitting in my work or my children or, you know, my dad or, you know, family, just everything. Everything. It has to be done, so I get it done. And I think that's one of the mindsets of women too, right?
There's something on the table. I've been hearing it, because it's a recurring theme really with everyone that we've spoken with so far, as far as, you know, you set your priorities for the day and go after it, basically.
You just have to go after it. There's no space for failure once, I guess, you're an entrepreneur. When I say failure, I mean in any aspect of your life. You just have to
set your goals,
keep chugging,
and you hit for them. And that's important, I think, in terms of the question of what balance is, because for everybody it looks slightly different in terms of how some people might, you know, decide to unplug, whether they actually have to take a vacation or, like you say, it's just about grabbing a glass of wine, watch the sunset, and you hit reset, basically your spirit, and you're good to go for the next day.
And I'd be lying if I say that sometimes I don't want to cry. I don't cry easy these days, but sometimes you do feel that immense pressure. And I'd probably call a friend and be like, you want to go get a drink or...
Just unplug for a minute.
So...
But it's important that it's done. However it's
Yes.
done. I
Yeah.
think one of the key things I like people to understand is that, we do sometimes, I don't know if people put the cape on us or we take it up. But we end up with an S on our chest.
Yes, we gotta take up that cape ourselves.
Yeah, so sometimes we take up the cape and other times people give it to us. But somehow we end up with an S on our chest.
Yes.
And you feel like you have to perform all
Yes,
the time.
yeah.
But it's important to remember we're only human.
Yes.
So we always have to do the reset, do the pause, do the self-care.
Absolutely.
And connect back, I guess, to, like you said in the beginning, your truth.
Yeah.
To remind yourself, well, why am I doing all of this? Am I still on track?
Correct.
And if not, where do I need to course correct
Correct.
and hit go again?
Yes. Yes.
As it
absolutely. Yes.
That's awesome, but that's
Yeah.
always key. All
Yeah.
right.
That's
Well,
very important.
Yeah, and your support system. I heard
My support system.
I
Yeah.
heard that.
Yeah.
mentioned. That's important for the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find a lot of happiness in my children as well. Yeah. So I think that helps me a lot too. I find a lot of happiness in my children, in their daily stories and
Okay.
what they expect
life.
out of life
Yeah.
and so forth. Yeah. So those types of things keep me a little grounded.
Yeah.
Give me a little distraction in my mind sometimes, and yeah.
And all that, you already touched on it in terms of your motivation, because in everything that you're doing, you're saying you want to make it better for that next generation.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's key.
My absolute focus.
Yeah. And then that's important. I think it again, for all the conversations I'm hearing in terms of one of those common themes for us as women of impact in terms of, what is that guiding force? Why are we after it in the first place? Because it's a lot of work.
It is. But it goes back to our nurturing, right? Caring. And so more naturally than anything, they would be the foundation that we're working from.
Working towards.
Yeah.
So what's next for Cindy Rosan-Jones?
What's next? Well, besides Guava Berry Marketing, I'm working on 3 amazing companies.
Okay.
That
Not one more, you said 3.
I know, I like to challenge myself and then wake up in a cold sweat, like, how are you gonna accomplish this? But I like to push myself and I always end up, Cindy, why? You could have just done this and then. But I am working on 3 amazing additions to the entertainment life of the BVI.
Okay.
Within the next year, I'm hoping to have launched all 3 of those.
Okay.
The first one, maybe within the next month to 6 weeks. I'm going to start with that.
Awesome. So you're already on the launching pad, basically.
I am, yes. So just finalizing a few things and I should be able to launch that first one upon
Kick it off.
society.
I hope they're ready. But I don't know about anybody else, but I'm sure the tribe doesn't expect anything less from you.
They do not. And I share my plans with them. I don't necessarily tell them exactly the details because children are children and they talk a lot.
Yeah.
And I believe in keeping things a little close to me. If I release something, I don't care that other things that I want to ensure that they're a success, and we know the climate in which we are. So I try to keep certain things close to my chest,
for the time.
But they focus in. I share my plans with them, and they too are excited to be a part of what I'm doing. So it'll be theirs. So them getting involved is what I want, and I'm glad they're interested.
Awesome. All right, well, if you just tuned in, you missed an awesome conversation with my colleague, TV host of Cut Deep, as well as business owner of Guava Berry Marketing. And 3 new other businesses to come soon, and a community activist. So how do persons get in contact with you?
I mean, you can always like join my Facebook page. You can follow me on social media. Cindy Rosan-Jones.
And in terms of the business, how would they, if they need some marketing consultancy?
At the moment, you can message me on ladyrosanjones@gmail.com.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I want to put I'm sure everybody has my number. You can.
That's okay. Whatever your contact information is, you want to put out.
Yeah, you can also contact me on 440-3234. That's there as well.
Okay.
But I'm always out and about. I think
Yeah,
I'm very visible, so
Yeah.
it's easy to get in touch with me.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Lady Jones, woman of impact, thank you for being here on the National Boardroom with me today. And we look forward to hearing more bigger and better things from you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me, Shayna. I thought this was a great interview.
Thank you. All right, public service announcement as we wrap up as always. Be safe, be well, mask up. I know all of us are suffering from fatigue, but let's get creative this year with the whole mask thing. The other day I saw one that had it was completely plastic. So you could be able to show off all your lipstick and
I see what you mean. Yeah, the hard. I was like, plastic?
Yeah.
Were they able to breathe?
Yeah.
Okay, no, the hard plastic, correct.
Yeah, the plastic in the front by the lip. So I thought it was very interesting. But anyway, word of encouragement for the week. And I think this falls right in line with our conversation today. If you can't handle being talked about, then you are not ready for success. And a great lady said that, Oprah Winfrey. Mm-hmm. Right? So again, we're encouraging young women from a very early age. People aren't always going to agree with what you say,
correct,
in terms of your opinion or whatever it may be. But that's all part of being successful.
Yeah,
because everybody is not. And you said it. You're not striving to be liked.
Yeah,
that's not your goal.
No, it's not. Not if you're going to be a business person or be effective in the field that you're pursuing, whether it's political or business or whatever.
Yeah, you gotta do your thing.
Somebody's always not going to like you.
Stand in your truth.
Yes.
We're gonna use that quote for the next show.
Stand in your truth.
Stand in your truth.
I love that.
Yeah, you gotta be authentic. So that's so important. So Vigilate Dialogues is heard here on CBN 90.9 FM on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Replay at 9 a.m. on Sundays. We are proudly sponsored by Smith & Associates, your project management specialist. Call us at 340-1199 for a free consultation. And if you have not done so, I'm very disappointed. You need to go and like our Facebook page so that you know when the shows are coming up, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can see the videos as well as hear us on the radio. So until next time, I am your host, Shayna Smith Archer, saying let's continue the change in conversation for a better version.